One of the things about all nonprofits that people don't understand is that the job description may as well be a Chinese. It makes absolutely no sense to reality. I didn't have to deal with that, but on my very first day as director here, first off, I owned my own commercial gallery in Colorado Springs, which was a perfect place to train for being a nonprofit group. So then I came here. I'm used to this, whatever. 60 hours a week, who cares? My very first day, I had to plunge 2 toilets and shovel 2 dead animals out of the parking lot. That was not on the job description. It was not there. So it's interesting, and I flashed on something that Corey was talking about out there. I had entered shows for years at the BAC, and I was always rejected, every single time. And I'd get this little note that would say, your work is very nice, but it's a little too dark, satanic perhaps, and there's some nudity. And it's like, I'm now the director. It's over. My first show was called No Nudes is Bad Nudes. So I jumped right into that game. So I decided that kind of, again, I know so many stories about this place before, when I was here, after I was here. Many of them are funny, many of them are poignant, some are very sad. Most of them are very inspiring. So it was really hard to narrow it down. There's no way I could do that. I could stand here, I could leave Chuck Murphy in my dust on the stories about here. I was here for 3 years most of my life. So I decided to talk about the shows that we had here, because there was a lot of things that went on here over the years. I was very proud of the shows here because one of the goals and in the mission statement talked about education. Well, education isn't just about how to use paint, how to take a new workshop, how to use the press. It's about educating people about the value and the variety of art. So I really challenged myself and the person who was working with me, Heather, how to come up with some new shows and do some different things. So we really stuck our neck out a lot, and I also knew that we had no budget for advertising. So I got to do something that's really interesting and get tons of attention. So that was kind of a very intentional goal I had. So the shows were part of the goal for me. The No Nudes was Good Nudes was the first time that really, in many years, it started off when the hippies were still around. Nice hippie crack, by the way, mister. The nude thing, they kind of had gotten into this, they were pretty safe. And that felt strange to me, especially since they always jerked my stuff out because it was satanic. It was time to raise the bar. So we brought in some shows that really were amazing and fun and extraordinarily challenging. Some of them were just fun. We had this thing called Polymer, the Panorama of Polymer. And I got polymer artists from all over the United States. And it was like Christmas, opening box after box. And every box go, this is made out of polymer clay? You're kidding. It was so cool to do this and to have people go, come through the door and go, this is polymer clay? So that was a great show. We had a show called Metamorphosis. It was high-end, high-styled, fantastic metal smithing. We had $1 million worth of stuff in that gallery. I wanted to sleep on the floor. I didn't sleep for a month. Stole your pink bike. Think about all the gold that's in the gallery right now. It really was terrifying to have that show. Another show that I really enjoyed, part of my job was to inspire the artists and to inspire the community, and some of that meant being inspired myself and coming up with new ideas. We had a membership show here, and a lot of the shows prior to that were okay, they were good, but it was like we're having a member show. So I decided to have a show called Squint. In Squint, nothing could be larger than a 3x5 card. For people like Gene Gumper, who's known for really big prints and how good they are, had to do this. Bill Heyer had wall-length paintings that we had finally convinced him to quit doing the little ones. And now we say, now, Bill, you got to do these little ones. So Rebecca Yaffe and I, who this used to be her studio, convinced Bill to do a large painting, and then we'll just cut it up into little pieces. And the cool thing was we sold every one of those little paintings. And so people were buying them in groups. I hung eyeglasses. Within a 100-mile radius, I'd been to every Salvation Army and Goodwill and bought all their eyeglasses. So hung thousands of them from the ceiling. Took a while. And then we put a little magnifying glass next to each piece. And the studio artists had so much fun, and it really wasn't what any of them actually did. So that served as a great metaphor of how to take risks, even in a simple way, and just play and be more playful with this. Another show kind of pushed everything to the extreme edge was a show called Bit by Bit. It was way before its time. It was an all-digital art show. Everything was displayed on monitors, no prints, all on the wall. We had to have all of these monitors set up. Today, this thing would be so easy, but back then it was caveman Flintstones internet time. It was bad. I pulled in the super geeks to help me. I had to go to a chiropractor for the sore neck because of all the, shit that was going over my head. I had no idea what these people were talking about. We had sick entries from close to 60 countries at the Business of Art Center. Our jurors were Laurie Anderson of Performing Arts, Graham Nash of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. It was all done online. This crazy thing happened. We made over $20,000 on entry fees and never touched a piece of art. The amazing part was it took 3,500 to 4,000 volunteer hours to put that show together. This was a lot of people committed and giving to the Business of Art Center in a medium that was not necessarily respected yet at that point. And it became like a really cool installation. So anyway, the shows were really fun. They were often challenging. And I'm going to kind of talk about two in particular. The very first one, and certainly the last big one, it wasn't what made me quit, but I was pretty tired at the end of the Rocky show. We worked on that show close to a year. Rocky's great, loved Rocky, still love Rocky, but it was very challenging. Who has ever been to an art show where people were waiting outside before dawn in a snowstorm to get in at 2 p.m.? It was a feeding frenzy. People were dying to get in there. And it was fantastic to see that many people coming out and wanting to, honestly, the truth was, buy his art. It was sold before it was over. There's people still around the block who weren't even going to get in the building. I love when the fire marshal came over to me and said, "It seems like we're a little crowded here." And I'm like, really? You tell him. And he didn't have a whole big sense of humor about it, but he got over it. Had some interesting issues with them. Like the closet over here that's a fire closet, really, like last time when chairs burst into flames. So again, it was really challenging. But one of the more interesting things happened was the very first show we had. When I came on, there'd been a cycle of numerous interim or part-time, only 45 hours a week, directors that were sort of pay, well, that means we'll just pay a little and you have to do a whole lot. But you're not really a full-time employee, you're an honorary adjunct chump director. So there was no shows, but one show was on the schedule. So when I came, I actually wore a button to to the interview that said status quo with a slash across it. And they said, "We have no status quo." Okay, so one show. And this show was put together by a man named Tom Leach, been here for a long time. And this was a show about handmade paper. And be honest, I did not know a lot about it. This is not my area of expertise. But for numerous reasons, I ended up being in charge of a show quickly. I think it was going to open within about 3 or 4 weeks. The show hadn't been juried yet. There was all kinds of little pieces of this done. It was going to be all juried by slides, so nothing in person, all by slides. Tom had arranged for the jurors, thank goodness, to do their thing. They came in, did their thing. So the show's going to be put up. Heather's worked for me. I don't know if it's been a week yet when the show is going to be hung. And we're going to put this show up. It's a beautiful show. It was great. One piece in particular, I just kept looking and going, how did this get juried in? I mean, it's just kind of a wreck. I mean, it just looks bad. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just, nothing about it looked like it was in the same league with these other things. So I went in the office and I got the slide. what professional photographer took this slide? This thing is awesome. And this is it? I mean, first off, it looks like it's this big in this photograph, and it's like about this big. It's not looking good. In the prospectus, it said, as it does in many prospectus, if the actual piece does not live up to the photographic representation, we have the right of not putting it in. Again, first show, don't want to make anybody mad, trying to be cool about this thing, whatever. It's a box with this tulip-ish thing coming out the top of it, and it's a lamp. Okay, I plug it in, it doesn't work. It's like, okay, that's enough, it's a sign. I don't have time to reinvent someone's art and kind of fix the whole thing up. It was all dinged up in this whole thing. So reluctantly, after a process and long conversations, we're going to not put it in the show. So that Friday, the show is going to happen, and we're getting ready to set it all up. And typically here, I don't know if they still do this, but back then we wouldn't let anyone into the galleries. And Heather comes into my office at like 11:30 in the morning. She says, "You're not going to believe this. The woman who made that just flew in from Chicago. She's in the lobby." So thank goodness we hadn't let him in the show. Like, yeah, nice to meet you. Ace Hardware. I'm off at Ace Hardware putting this thing together, and I got the Sharpies going and glue. I'm hoping it looks kind of like what she had created. I'm doing this as fast as I can. It's complete panic time. Next, I've got it together. Heather's in the back room. The day of a show, right, Natalie? You have a few things to do. This wasn't on the list. And she's painting a pedestal. Hairdryer. I mean, the whole thing is just how fast can you go here? Panic. We get it in there. We had kept, the woman had left, so she didn't see all the panic and us carrying it down the hall under a cloak. So we're going to go through this. Next, one of the studio artists had volunteered to go get the food that had been donated to the event. So I go, "Hey, thank you, that's great." He says, "I'll help you, I'll go do this." And I say, "Great, because I have this other little project, I'm making a lamp." And he kind of looked at me like, "What?" Never mind. Okay, so lamp is ready. I say, he comes back, I say, "John, you want me to help you with the food?" And he says, "Oh, no, this is it." I said, "Excuse me?" And he says, "Yeah, they said we needed 200 pieces of food." "No, we needed food for 200 people." The food fit on one platter. It's 3 o'clock, and I'm on my way to Sam's in total panic. Off I go. I come back, and I'm supposed to be Mr. Schmoozeville. "Hey, great, I'm the new director. Excuse the bags under my eyes." It was a nightmare. Do this whole thing. Get this, I'm dying. I'm kind of lingering around waiting for this woman to lay eyes on her piece in hopes that it resembles her piece. There wasn't much to work on. I couldn't get it to look like the photograph no matter what I did. I went through this whole thing. She was happy. Everyone was happy. Heather and I kept looking across the room going, kind of thing. And the moral of the story, in that show, we sold one piece. I have seen the light. But it's a really good way of looking at the challenges of being at the BAC. You never know what to expect. Ask Natalie 24 hours later. And it is about being inclusive and raising the bar all the time. And as I said, when I met Natalie, and then I walked away from that first meeting going, "Man, they scored. Where'd they get this person? She's perfect for the new Mac." It wasn't the Mac then, they were still messing with the name. That is a great thing. It's like a rejuvenation. And then Kelly invited me to help and do a board retreat. And I go to the board, it's like, look at all these people. Didn't you learn the first time, Chuck? You're back again? That's the BAC. The BAC, what it should put at the top of the list under all that other job description is, can you dance? Because you're going to dance every day. Fortunately, it's a fun, pretty, and artfully done dance. So find a way to participate in this place as much as you can. I'm sorry, all due respect to the past, they've brought it back to life. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.